Hello and welcome to the first video of the Federation Class Dreadnought Series. This is going to be a lot of fun as it was never shown on screen, so I get to create a lot of the details from scratch. I'll be basing this model off of blueprints created by Ali C. Peed III and building the model to scale with the rest of my ships. In this video, I'll create the build studio using those plans. I can't wait to begin this one, so let's get started. So here I am in Max, and the first thing that I want to do is to make sure that my measurements are in the right units. So unit setup, and indeed I'm in meters just like all of my scenes for Star Trek. So I'm going to just keep that like that. The next thing I'm going to do is just bring a plane into the scene. And this only needs one length and one width segment because this is going to be part of the blueprint. So I'll just center it out. And it doesn't really matter what size it is right now because I'm going to adjust it when I put the plane on there. So this is going to be the top view of the ship. So what I need to do is I need to create a material. And I'm just going to use standard for this. Doesn't need to be a Corona material because I won't actually be rendering this. And just diffuse color. And references. And the top view. And open. And I want to make sure that this is being shown realistic in the viewport so I get a nice crisp view of the actual plan. Then I can just lesion on there. And there we go. Horribly distorted and everything, but we're going to fix that right now. So UVW map. And I'll rotate it around. .90 degrees. And I want to bitmap fit. There we go. Now I know that's the correct aspect ratio. I'm just going to shrink it down. So it just fits on the plane. And you'll notice that it's cut off here on the saucer. That's okay because I'm just going to end up building the entire thing anyway. They did this because of the way that paper was printed back then. And what I actually want to do, I know I said I didn't want any segments, but I want one width segment so I know that this is in the center. Just like that. And I'll just change the size of the plane. Okay, and that's close enough. So now what I need to do is scale it properly, right? I took the time to set the units, I might as well scale it properly. So there's a couple things that I could do in order to do this. What I usually do is just look up the size that the ship is supposed to be. But I've got a secret weapon because I've already built the TOS Enterprise, so that means I already have the warp nacelles, and since that's scale, all I need to do is import that. Import, merge. And find the nacelle starboard group. And okay. Wow. That is very much out of scale. The plan is, that is. So what I need to do is I need to simply scale this up. And just move this over and just kind of keep doing this until it actually fits. No, I made it too big. And it's okay if I move it around. I could just zero it out later. So I pretty much got it to scale. You can see the front of the nacelle lines up with the front in the plan. And same thing with the back. So this will do nicely. So what I want to do now is actually center out this blueprint just like that, and then move the nacelle to be in the correct spot. And just copy this coordinate here. Then copy this as an instance. There we go. So already the nacelles are in place, which is a nice bonus. One of the great things about kit bashing is, of course, you get to use parts that you already built. Now I'm going to sink this down because the ship is going to live up here somewhere. So it doesn't matter how far away this is because, of course, it's going to be an orthographic view. So the next thing that I want to do is copy this and move it over. And this is going to be the side view. So I need to create another material. And then assign it to my selection. There we go. So we're going to have to do some flipping. I copied this as an instance. If you ever do that, you can simply click this symbol right here, and that will make it unique, because I don't want to change this, right? Otherwise, it'll change my top view as well. So I could just flip this. And you'll notice it's backwards and everything, but I don't care because I always build my ships from the left view. Just like that. So this is actually going to work out fine for me. And it looks like it needs a little bit of adjustment. Just a tiny bit, but that's all right. Just make sure I'm in Gizmo. Just bring this up. That's fine. And I can adjust the plane itself. Then bring the plane. So it's nice and centered. There we go. I can take my nacelles and simply lower them into place. There we go. So now I know that all of these things are indeed in place. So I'm going to spare you the details of building the front, back, and bottom plans. This is just the same thing, and I'm sure you don't want to see me do the same thing 3 more times. So by the time we get back, I'll have my entire studio built. Okay, so I've created the rest of the plans, including the bottom, the front, and the back. And I want to show you to do one more thing that's going to really help us out. Is for the planes, what you want to do is go to Object Properties. You want to turn on Backface Cull. You want to uncheck Show Frozen in Gray because we're going to be freezing this. And you want to uncheck Renderable because we don't want to render these out, as I mentioned earlier. So click OK. So now you'll notice when we rotate around, the plans disappear and they're not going to get in our way as we're building our model. So always a neat feature, and you always want to make sure that you're going to do that. The next thing I'm going to do is select everything but the nacelles. And I want to put this stuff on its own layer. So just create new layer. And I'm just going to call it reference. And I'm going to freeze that layer. So now when I select on things, I'm not going to select on my plans at all because I don't want to move these. So that's just another really handy thing. I can also make it disappear just in case I don't want it in the viewport, but again, it's not going to render, so not going to be that big of a deal. So that's really all there is to making a studio for your starship. I did want to show you one bonus thing though. So I don't know if you recall, but earlier in the video when I imported these nacelles, I didn't choose the finished TOS Enterprise that I built. And one of the reasons why I didn't do that is because it took a lot of iterations of these warp impellers or boost arc collectors or whatever you want to call them in order to get it right. And this is one of the failures. So I got this from kind of a midpoint file when I was working on that ship. So just as a little bonus, I thought I'd show you what these look like in the render engine. And you can see they're a lot more colorful than the impellers that you saw on the screen. And that's going to be part of the theme of this ship. What I want to do is make this like really kind of an over-the-top looking ship. Very showy, which is what I imagine it would have been had we seen it on screen. I can imagine this transporting around some stuck-up admiral or something who's too full of himself. And it would have been kind of fun to see that. So that's going to be kind of the theme of this ship. Again, I'm going to take it seriously. It's not going to be too over the top, but I just thought it'd be fun to start from this point and see what I could do. So that's going to be it for now. Just building the studio and importing the warp nacelles. This is going to be a much more basic model than the Sovereign, just because, you know, the shapes are more basic, the textures are more basic. So this is going to be a nice little break. I will continue with the Sovereign, with the decals and the textures. That's going to be sort of a work through because, as I mentioned in the last video, a lot of it is just kind of rote. So I'll be working on that and posting videos, so don't worry, that project is not dead. But I'll be working on this too because I think it's just going to be a lot of fun. So I hope you enjoyed the video. Thank you for watching, and I will see you soon.